Good evening, everyone. Welcome to On Deck here on FTSN. I'm Russ Morgan. I hope everybody's having a great night. Uh, we are a couple weeks away from baseball, regular season baseball, excuse me. But the 18th, full season starts on the 27th for everybody else besides the Cubs and the Dodgers. So I'm getting pumped. Been watching a lot of spring training. I've been even watching the World Baseball Classic qualifiers. The first one, kind of boring to me. Nicaragua got in. I think Chinese Taipei got the other qualifier bid. I've been watching this. This round has been a little better. Colombia, you got some names recognizable. Gio Urshela, Julio Teheran. Had a no going through six. So I've been watching that. Brazil and Germany play tomorrow to get that last spot as Colombia secured one of the qualifier spots. But I've been watching that. I think it's Houston. They're starting in Houston, Japan, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and down here in Miami. But I'm getting jacked up for baseball. Spring training in full swing. So I'm getting jacked up. But gonna get into some AL West preview for the AL West. With some action. For me, the AL West seems kind of. I guess for me, when I'm thinking the AL West, it's been so much dominated by the Houston Astros in the recent years. In the last, I guess almost decade, a little under a decade, it's been so dominated by the Astros. I go and feel I'm just like, why, it's going to be the Astros. But now I feel like the West is definitely a wide open division, minus the 1 year the Rangers, won the World Series, but it did from the wild card. It's been, the division's been dominated by the Astros. But I feel like when I'm looking at the West, the AL West this year, it's kind of a wide open 3-man race between three teams. Unfortunately, the Angels can't, and the A's. Maybe in a couple years when their guys, if their younger guys pan out, but not at this time. Surprisingly, the A's spent more money than the St. Louis Cardinals, which is kind of funny, but they spent more money than the Miami Marlins too. But it's been such dominated by the Astros in recent years, minus 1 year, that, I go in thinking, I'm like, that's going to be the Astros. And then, but looking at this year, I think it's a nice 3-man race. It's kind of any one of those three teams. So, kicking off the AL West last year, Houston won the West at 88-73. Did lose some big player. They did trade Kyle Tucker, Gold Glove right fielder, who was in that contract year to the Cubs, for Isaac Padres, Hayden Wozniak, and Cam Smith. They also lost Alex Bregman to the Red Sox. Beautiful. I love that, being a Yankees fan. But we're not talking about the Yankees at this moment. We're talking about the Houston Astros. Padres, that's a solid third guy. You can slot in at third base there, can play first base if he needs to too. Was solid with the Rays, and they got traded to the Cubs, good with the Cubs. So he's good for giving you some average, good defensive guys. So that's a good pickup for them to try to keep them competitive. Wozniak, a guy who can give you some innings. Maybe he gets in that rotation. As of now, Wozniak's not not considered what they have him on the MLB roster. But, former Yankees prospect, guy who could he could eat some innings up for you, so that's good. Because, you don't know with the Astros with injuries. Pitching is always a plus. Obviously, for me, I feel the gem of that deal was Cam Smith, the Florida State third baseman. Obviously, yes, a little longer term project for them. He's not going to be MLB ready this year. They're projecting a 2026, but he was 14th overall pick out of Florida State. really solid because I'm a big college baseball guy. So really solid on a solid, very, very good Florida State team last year that made the College World Series. 7 at bats this year. I didn't check if he played today. 7 at bats in spring training. He has 4 hits, 6 RBIs, batting .571 with a .727 on base percentage and 2 home runs. At Florida State, he just tore it up last year. Batted .387, 104 hits, 22 doubles, 16 home runs, a .488 on base percentage, and also big, a .954 fielding percentage. So I think that even though he's not MLB ready, I think that was kind of the gem of that trade. You get a guy who's got, yes, 2026 projection, but you get a guy who's got some high upside. And for me, I love these college bats. I think they're more physically mature. They're physically more mature and mentally more mature because they had those 3 years in college that I think they can pan out further. And for me, I mean, this is just in my opinion. I feel looking at the MLB draft in recent years, there has kind of been a shift where we're seeing more college players go in that first round. We're starting to see more college players definitely making more of an immediate impact on a major league level because they're more physically ready to play than the high school guys where you're going for a nice 3-4 year projection. So, I mean, I think Smith was definitely a solid pickup for the Astros. Obviously, a longer-term projection, but you see the numbers. You see what he did at, 387, 16 home runs, 22 doubles at Florida State at a very competitive ACC for baseball. So that's pretty solid. I think that's going to be nice next year for them. They did sign Christian Walker from the Diamondbacks to a 3-year deal. He'll be the first baseman. Last year, batted .251, 26 home runs. They signed second baseman Brendan Rodgers from the Rockies, former 3rd overall pick. Has not really panned out all that much as much of his expectations were when he was drafted out of high school. Career .266 hitter. So, I mean, I think he can give you some solid innings at second base. Him and Marco Durbin look like they're battling out for that second base spot. They will be moving all-star second baseman Jose Altuve. He's going to be playing left field this year. And obviously their offense still anchored by the behemoth of a man, Yordan Alvarez. Alvarez, a .298 career hitter. Last year batted .308, 392 on-base percentage, .567 slugging, 35 home runs. I mean, this guy's a monster. I mean, I remember seeing some of those home runs in the World Series, and he's just easily poking it out to center field. And I mean, monster. And a little dig at my Dodgers fans who traded Yordan Alvarez for a guy who was, one and done. So, but I don't really think they're worried about that anymore. I mean, the rotation is still solid, anchored by Framber Valdez, who's consistent, every year. Rotate. I mean, you got Hunter Brown, you got Luis Garcia, you got Ronel Blanco, who he had that no last year. But I mean, Valdez is your man. It will be leading that. And in the back half of the back end of the bullpen, you got Josh Hader closing things out. My question, Dave, if we got any Astros fans, do you think they continue their dominance of the AL West? I want to know. I mean, do we think they continue? Do they think they can then win the AL West? I mean, I know last year I didn't have them winning the AL West. They kind of came out of nowhere and took over the Mariners. I still think it's a wide open division. Coming in second, Seattle Mariners ended the year 85-77, second place in the West. They did collapse kind of last year. Had a 10-game lead at one point, then 5 games over the Astros. Ended up losing that lead. Did retain Jorge Polanco, who will most likely play third, even though he's playing second last year with the Mariners. Also, the big acquisition they had was at the trade deadline when they acquired Randy Arozarena from the Rays, which we all know what Arozarena did with the Rays. In his time in the playoffs, he can be an electric player. Hopefully, we'll get another full year of Julio Rodriguez. Rodriguez batted .273 last year, did miss some important time. 409 slugging, 325 on base percentage, 20 home runs, 24 stolen bases, a full year. But a full year, let's see if we get a full year. Randy Arozarena with time with the Rays only batted 231. The outfield would be solid, rounded out by Victor Robles. No more for speed and defense, but if he can. I got 231 too. He batted 231 too. He batted 231 too. But 44 stolen bases last year. So Robles be a solid outfield if Rodriguez stay healthy for the full year. Who's obviously all know what he can do. Infield, Luke Raley looks like he's gonna be moving to first. 243, 11 home runs. You got J.B. Crawford just would a solid defensive shortstop, but did have a short year, only batting 202. You're going to have Polanco at third. Their pitching, I think their strength is their pitching depth. Even though you look at their record, some of the records on their pitchers, I think, isn't accurate to what we can see. You got Luis Castillo was 18-11, 3.64 ERA. You got George Kirby was 14-11. I could see a nice breakout from Logan Gilbert. He was 9-12 last year. You got Connor Wu and I can't remember the last guy, and George Kirby. So I could see those having they have even though the numbers weren't there for their pitching staff, I think they have a strong pitching staff that can get them over the hump. I'm predicting the Mariners to win the AL West. So I think they get there. Mike, when are we going to see their top prospect, Cole Young, who's a second baseman, shortstop? Maybe we see him this year. He was ranked 49th in the top 100, and Henry Young, who was ranked catcher, who was ranked 64. When are we going to see them? I think this might be the year that the Mariners take over the West, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. I was wrong last year. Could be wrong this year again. It's baseball. You're wrong a lot of the times. Texas Rangers came in third. 78-84, had a very disappointing year after winning the World Series in 23. They did add Jake Berger from the Marlins and Kyle Higashioka from the Padres. Berger will assume the first base job after they traded Nate Lowe to the Nationals. Last year, Berger batted .250 with 29 home runs, a .301 on-base percentage, a .460 slugging, 76 RBIs, and 536 at-bats. They really, really, really need a full year of Corey Seager, who, in my opinion, one of the better is a forgotten shortstop because of all these great young shortstops. He's still one of the better. I guess he's veteran now, a veteran shortstop. But he kind of anchors that offense and defense. They need Seager to have a full year, and he's definitely had injury history. Batted .278 and 475 at bats, 353, 512 slugging, 74 RBIs, 30 home runs, and that fielding percentage 983. Excuse me. Definitely the anchor of the Rangers team. Marcus Semien at second forms that great double play up combination up the middle, but batted a lowly .237 last year. 650 at bats, 308 on base percentage. They're going to need Semien to step up bit offensively to keep on competing. Josh Smith will be at third base. Hopefully, get another full year of him. He batted .258 337, 394 slugging. The outfield has some very promising players. Obviously, you got Evan Carter, you have Wyatt Langford, and you got Alexi and you got Garcia. So, I mean, the outfield's solid. Garcia batted 280, 84, 27 home runs, 85 RBIs, 284 on base percentage, 400 slugging. Langford, who had I think he had a pretty good rookie year. I mean, this guy's what he did at University of Florida, he was unbelievable. And I mean, 253, 325 on base, 415 slugging, 25 home runs. I'm expecting a big year from Wyatt Langford. And you got Evan Carter, who was big in that World Series run. Rotation still features Nathan Eovaldi, Jacob deGrom, and John Gray. Will we ever see prime Jacob deGrom that we saw in New York? Definitely, he's been injury prone ever since that. We've never really seen a full year since coming over. He's been injury prone. Are we ever going to get that back? They already said he's not starting the first game of the year for the Rangers. Well, but they need deGrom a full year. Obviously, he was that big sign. They need a full year of him. My big one is, when are we going to see Coomer Rocker come up? I love Coomer Rocker. Obviously, if you didn't know already, I love college baseball. And I watched every single World Series game this guy pitched at University of Vanderbilt, and he was phenomenal. Coomer Rocker. When are we going to see him? Also, they got Jack Leiter, Al Leiter's son, who's been touched up a little bit in the minors, but he was also a very solid, very, very, very one of the best pitchers in college baseball at this time. Maybe gets back to form, and they can get him in the rotation too. We've seen a little time in the bigs. I'm assuming Rocker gets his call up this year, and I'm assuming he's going to be up there, and he can hang, high 90s fastball. He's got some good stuff. He can hang. We'll see if Leiter gets back to form. Moving down to the fourth team was the then Oakland Athletics, now just the A's. I think they're just going by the A's this year. Surprisingly, did make a couple offseason acquisitions. Adding Luis Severino, 3 years, $67 million, largest deal in A's history. Adding Gio Urshela and trading for Jeffrey Springs. So, I mean, this team is definitely more based on the future, trying to go build that for Las Vegas whenever they get there. But they have some promising young players. They got Shea Langoliers, catcher. He was a catcher drafted a couple years out of Baylor, solid catcher, traded with the Braves. They got Tyler Soderstrom from Northern California, Turlock High School. I remember watching Soderstrom when he was at the area code games in Long Beach, at Long Beach State, where we had Rolando Garcia, who's a pitching coach, was one of our guests here. They have the area code games there, is where Rolando coaches. I saw him hit one of the hardest balls I've ever seen in my life for a high school kid. It was 115 off the bat, and all I see is the second baseman. He's just like this. I'm like, no way he's getting in front of it. The guy just trying to save his life. But Soderstrom, definitely he's penciled in at first. I'm really high on Jacob Wilson, son of former Pittsburgh Pirate Jack Wilson. This guy's got a very good eye at the plate. Really low strikeout rate. And I think he struck out like 20 times in 3 years at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. I think this guy's got a great future. And he did this in the minors too. My opinion, he's going to be the rookie of the year. Got a little cup of coffee, got hurt, so we didn't get to see him a lot last year, but I think he's going to be phenomenal if he can stay on the field. Really like Jack Wilson. Great eye at the plate, unbelievable plate discipline. I think he anchors this very young A's team, and maybe in 2-3 years we can see an A's team compete. But I think it's pretty good. In the outfield, you got Miguel Andujar, who's had a little resurgence, moving to the outfield. You got J.J. Bleday, also was a very good college prospect out of University of Vanderbilt. If you didn't notice, Vanderbilt puts out a lot of great players. You know, Sonny Gray. Obviously, David Price was the guy who kind of anchored it all. You know, Sonny Gray, Dansby Swanson. You got a lot of great ones in the minor. Austin Martin, you know, Blade, Rocker. We talked about Jack Leiter. So I mean, who's the Orioles? You know, Enrique Bradfield Jr. I think he's going to be solid. But I mean, Blade's solid, moving, playing center field. Lawrence Butler's another really young guy, 24. So, I mean, I think they got a solid young core and guys who could come up. And then you obviously got the consistent hitter, Brent Rooker. Will he stay with the A's? Will he be some trade rumor? Maybe they try to make a little trade bait to get some more prospects. I don't know. Young pitching staff minus Luis Severino, but I think they got a little some upside. When are we going to see Nick Kurtz? Nick Kurtz, the guy, mashed the ball at Wake Forest last year, mashed. They're projecting 2026, but as we see some of these college prospects definitely go quicker, move up through the system quicker. So maybe we see Kurtz move up this year. I don't see it happening, but maybe we do. If the guy's raking in the minors, maybe we do. Rounding off the AL West, Angels finished last at 63 and 99, last in the AL West. What to say about the Angels? Actually, surprising. They were kind of active in free agency. Added, I don't know, can't remember his first name, Kikuchi from. He's been with the Blue Jays. He's been with the Astros. You had Kyle Hendricks from the Cubs. You had Yamamoto from the White Sox. I think that was a solid sign because, I mean, that's an upside sign. Hopefully you can get back to what this guy was when he was a top prospect. I mean, I think the offensive output will be centered around some of the young players. Zach Neto at shortstop. Will we get Joe Odell full shot at center field and pan out? Former top overall prospect. He'll be platooning with another former top overall prospect who's having a big spring, Mickey Moniak, who was the first overall pick with the Phillies a handful of years ago. I think we need to see both these guys. Dell needs to get a full season. We've been hearing about him a lot. Mike Trout's moving to right field. I know when I was on here with Rob Mosley, when he was doing the podcast with me consistently, he was talking about not seeing enough Trout. And it's definitely, I see it. Me growing up, I grew up in Southern California. I got to see Mike Trout a lot. This guy is one of the best baseball players I've ever seen. He does everything great. His defense in the outfield, his speed, his plate discipline. He's one of the best. But not a lot of people, half the country, don't see him play because the Angels game starts at 10 o'clock Eastern. So, I mean, not a lot of people get to see him play. I mean, are the Angels wasting? It's kind of sad. This great, unbelievable, transcendent player is wasting away in Anaheim. That half the country's not seeing. This guy's one of the best players I've ever seen. He's unbelievable. So it's very sad. I see there's some young players that could, with the Angels, I see could, that we kind of see right now getting a little time. Getting a little spring training time. But there's a couple names I really like. That'd be Christian Moore out of University of Tennessee. Was obviously on that World Series team. I think more goes. He's already going through the system real quick. I see him possibly breaking with the club. I don't think he breaks with the club. I think they keep him down like they did with Paul Skeens last year. I think they keep him down for a month and then bring him in. But this guy was solid at University of Tennessee last year on that World Series team. I think he goes through quick. He's the starting second baseman at for the Angels. I mean, solid plate appearance, solid at the plate, solid defensively. Another guy would be Caden Dana. Could slot in that rotation. Long term, like at least a 3-starter. He's a 2025 guy. Actually was drafted. Read a story about him. He was drafted in the 19th round because people were scared of his commitment to the University of Kentucky. But because the Angels that year saved so much on slot value that they were able to overpay him at his slot value to get him on the Angels, which this is another reason being a guy who was a scout and loves the college game. A lot of teams are moving towards that college drafting because you can pay them below slot and then allocate more to maybe a high school guy who's a high school guy who fell a little bit, like we saw with Gunnar Henderson, fell into that second round, supposed to be first overall pick. So you throw a little lower slot to your first round guy who maybe is a college guy, and then you could throw above slot to some other guys and get a high upside guy like Dana, like Gunnar Henderson, in there with your club. So I mean, not expecting much from a lot of the Angels this year. I'm actually kind of excited to see the A's, and actually they sold out opening day. Granted, I think it's like a 10,000 seat ballpark, but that's probably pretty good for them. So they sold out. So the A's are sold out. So maybe Sacramento could use a ball club, but I mean, we'll see. But I like the A's. I like the upside they have. I'm going with the Mariners winning the AL West, in my opinion. But I think it comes down to the Rangers, Mariners, and Astros. I got Mariners. I think the Rangers are right there. I think the Astros take a step back. I don't know if anybody saw rookie Sasaki yesterday. He made his spring training debut. Guy looks solid. He was 98, 99 with fastball, splitter solid, slider, 86. He looked unfazed. He was really solid yesterday. And no surprise, this guy was one of the best pitchers, was pitching in the World Baseball Classic at 2021 for Japan. So unfazed, guy looked really good. Quick, gave up a couple hits, but was not phased, doesn't give up any runs. So that was pretty solid on Sasaki. And obviously that was much watched TV for me. I was tuning in, flipping back forth from some basketball, and then once Sasaki pitched, I had to watch him a couple innings of him. He was solid. I mean, we got baseball right around the corner. I'm pretty jacked up. Right around the corner. I mean, I guess when Dodgers play the Cubs, I'll be up at 6 a.m. watching that game. At least I'm on the East Coast time zone this time, where it's not 6 and it's not 3 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast. So I guess that's a little win, even though it is 6 a.m. But I'll be watching that. We've had some good things this spring training right around. Spring training obviously will be next week. We're going to go on a Wednesday. I'm going to be talking NL East, and then we're going to be doing a Sunday show. Hopefully, we have I'm trying to get a guest on that I played high school baseball with, and he also played college baseball, coached high school baseball for the Sunday to do the NL West, Dodgers fan, and then the Wednesday after that, which would be dates I can't remember. I got it. So the 16th, that Sunday, we'll be doing On the 12th, I'm going to be breaking down the NL East, which exciting division too. Then on that Sunday, we're going to have that special. We're going to do the NL West. Try to get a guest for that one. Hopefully he can make it. And then on the 19th, breaking down the AL East, baby. Hopefully we can get Rob Mosley on. Talk a little smack. I know he's in tune with the Red Sox this year and ready to go because they spent a little money. So pretty pumped up. Only 14 days away from regular season baseball for the Cubs and the Dodgers. So let's go. I can smell baseball right around the corner, and I'm getting pretty pumped. Please, thank you for everybody tuning in tonight. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe. I'm Russ Morgan. This is On Deck here on FTSN. You guys have a great night.